Do you regret taking your beef with Randall to social media?
No, I got me paid right away. Paid right away.
Welcome back to the Reality Guys. I'm your host, Billy Blinks, joined as always by my co-host, Brian.
Hey, everybody.
We're back to talk everyone's favorite reality show, Vanderpump Rules. But we're going to take a little bit of a detour here, what we call a spinoff. This was the Randall scandal, Love, Loathing, and Vanderpump. This is now currently on Hulu. This dropped today, Monday, May 22nd. This was an in-depth investigation. We're going to go into all the reporters. We're going to go into the assistants. We're going to go into the B-level movies and the A-level movies, everything in between, the stuff that we knew, the stuff that we didn't know, which I think is going to be similar to a lot of the audience here that, like, man, who knew how many of the things that we are, like, we reference and that we know about in pop culture, and especially in the last, say, 6 to 7 years with media and movies, Randall Emmett was heavily involved. And Brian, I just want to get your thoughts off the top. Like, what was just your impression of just the story itself, and then how the actual documentary, the quality of it?
Yeah, I enjoyed the documentary a lot. It's also I really enjoyed like seeing how like they kind of explain when you're young in Hollywood, like the stuff you need to go through, and then that person will just repeat it, and it's like an ongoing cycle. And like he just happened to do it a lot worse than maybe his predecessor and stuff like that. And I also was very surprised at the people he was linked to, like Mark Wahlberg, not our Mark Wahlberg, the other Mark Wahlberg. I'm surprised that I'm wondering how these people feel with this coming out.
I think obviously for people like you're talking about the Mark Wahlberg stuff. Now, you can't see it in my current view here, but over my right shoulder, I have a Queens Boulevard poster, Entourage. That was a big show for people Brian and my age growing up. And the first thing I found out is that Randall's supposed to be Turtle. Randall's supposed to be Jerry Ferrara. He's supposed to be Turtle.
Terrible.
He was the driver. He was the body man assistant, kind of just the everyman guy, not the agent, not a producer, anything like that. But like Brian said, he had to work his way up, and he did work his way up sort of the right way. He turns out Jerry Bruckheimer is like his cousin. That's back when we're talking like Pirates of the Caribbean time here. I think Jerry Bruckheimer being that's a big deal. That's a nice in the door that they kind of try to drop really quickly, which I think is a big key to a lot of it, because he never would have probably gotten that chance if he didn't have that, right? But
yeah, I feel like you need to have a foot in the door at a lot of those like gigs.
But the problem I have with Randall, we're going to go into it, but I think the first thing, I think the most important thing I think to talk about was like his treatment, I think, of his assistants. They highlighted 3 assistants in particular. Brett Pearson was the first one. That was the white guy.
Yep.
That was where we come to find out that Randall made all of his assistants pay for all of the expenses for his chores and things out of their own pockets, max their own credit cards out, and he never reimbursed them. Now it's very believable because Jack says he owes him something like 75,000, 100,000, might even be more than that, because he reneged on a loan for a movie. And obviously, if he's going to make his own assistants pay for gas and flights and shipping, like that was bad, man.
Oh, terrible. Absolutely terrible. You said Randall owes Jack $75,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
Randall's would do like bridge loans for movies, like kind of like just like they bring up in the film, in the documentary, funding small little projects and getting your return. And Jackson has done a few of them with him, and he always made money back. This was a movie that was supposed to happen before COVID, doesn't end up happening because of COVID, and Randall just never gives him his money back. And obviously then the whole thing, and like they bring up in this documentary, Randall flaunts his life and traveling and still doing all this crap, and you still owe this dude money. But now that he's not in the Vanderpump crew anymore, he's basically jerking him off.
Yeah, and to me, that's just how stupid people are today. They'd rather like post something for the optics, and it's like, yo, you're doing a vacation, you owe me money. And that's kind of like the 50 Cent part. I don't mean to skip around, but
that's fine.
Jax needs to take a page out of Curtis Jackson's book and do what 50 did, and he might get his money back.
Yeah, so one of the things, now this is a little bit later in the documentary, more in the downfall of Randall, especially kind of near the beginning of it, there was a similar situation where 50 Cent enters the picture. He was an investor. Randall and him did some movies. This was Cheetah Vision, Brian. This was Fofty Gate. So the
So
whole deal here is that when Randall owed 50 money, 50 started hitting him up, calling him, texting him. Randall sending BS excuses like I'm in the hospital. I'm sending texts, sending pictures of himself in the hospital. And 50 just kept putting him on Instagram, texting them out, just putting him on blast. And then guess what? Within about a week, he gets his money. And then he literally goes, you see the text, got hit the transfer hit, scumbag, boom, like that. And then the show Andy Cohen, do you regret doing it? No, I got my money. That's what you got to
right.
do. Screw him, dude.
Yeah, and 50's done that in the past to like Fat Joe too, where he just posts pictures of him making fun of people. So like when I saw that, I was like, oh, he does not hold back, and like just makes me laugh, man. Just like the way what 50% has become from like our music, like as a child listening to him and like just kicking people's ass. Like he's begging, not begging, he's like getting his money by all means necessary, and you
Yeah,
got
I
to salute
mean,
it. Salute to
um,
50 Cent.
Martin. Martin was the African American guy. He was the
Mm,
assistant. He was the one that probably had the craziest story. He was the one that had to go fly out to what was it, Puerto Rico with the poker table.
yep.
And then after he went and set all that up, he had to get his own Airbnb, etc. Randall calls him and tells him that he's got him and the other assistant have to drive 30 miles back to the hotel to get something out of the safe. The code doesn't work, so he goes in with the security guard and the hotel staff, and it's a giant bag of coke.
Yeah, I'm surprised that nothing. Do you think you had to bribe those people?
Yeah, they definitely just paid it off. It's probably not the first time this has happened.
Yeah, that's
Also,
wild.
the fact that Randall's real money came from doing what they would call the geezer teasers. Geezer teasers are a term in Hollywood where you have sort of washed up or kind of declining action stars. So they talk about people like Bruce Willis. They talk about like Jean-Claude Van Damme type guys, these type of Steven Seagal type guys, where you can throw them a bunch of money to only film for a week. You do these really quick, stupid movies. You sell them off the posters and you sell them in bunches, and you end up making way more money than you actually invest in them. However, one of these situations happened. I want to make sure I get the movie right. It was Midnight in the Switchgrass. This was
Yep.
a Bruce Willis film, and unfortunately, and people definitely probably know this by now, Bruce Willis has what is referred to as aphasia, a form of dementia. And during the filming of this, it was very apparent to the other producers and the other directors that like this is what's happening to this guy. Doesn't know where he is. There's the whole waitress story, and I don't want to tell everything from the doc for people who are just checking the review, but there's some really gut wrenching stories in there, and Randall's response, let's say, is less than desirable.
Yeah, definitely. Because you want to work in an environment. It's just setting bad examples all across the board because nobody wants to stand up to him, and they just kind of let this thing go because you don't want to get fired. It sounds like he just fires people on a whim.
Say the N word.
Yep.
He threw around a lot of like the categories, like categorizations, like the things like definitely made that word up, categorizations. But like he, the you people type of things, and it's just why
Mhm.
does everything have to be racially charged? Why can't something just be because I'm a person, right? So this guy, the female assistant going in and he's naked, he's covering himself with a pillow, right? That type of stuff. Lala coming in, they talk about getting the hero edit. Lala gets the Braves. Lala can't gets the Brave Survivor edit. So for Vanderpump fans, we know that obviously this is not something that's funny in the fact that it sucks, but everyone and their mother knew this was going to happen in some way, right? Like even all her friends, everyone was saying this was happening. James Kennedy, who's now the number one guy in the group, he was calling this out for a while. So how did you feel about watching Lala on basically an ABC Dateline show?
I mean, I get like you said, like people who don't watch the show are like, "Oh, I feel bad for this person," but it just the way their relationship came about, like just like you said, it's gonna repeat its history repeats itself, and you can't come in like pretending like you're not with somebody, like you can't speak his name because whatever
He was
legal,
still
like
married because he was still
yeah,
married.
yeah. I mean,
Amber
I like Lala a
Childers
lot,
like, excuse me, hello. They never
right?
even mentioned when he gets his divorce to her. They just once she came in the Lala gave the picture, that was done.
Right. Like I like Lala. Like I enjoy her. I think she's good TV. And but man, she like she said, she's got to look back on this stuff and she feels dumb.
Yeah, and it sucks.
And now you have a kid, and now
We've
it
got to
like
watch all this.
magnifies it like 100 times. Now they have a kid.
Got
Like
to
it'd be
watch
such
all
an
of this.
easy break, like she said that she could just cut it out and leave. But now that you have a child, it makes things a lot more difficult.
I'm sure the custody stuff is still going on, which is going to be arduous and probably forever. And they're more than likely going to be split. It's going to be split custody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what why do you think she participated in this damn thing? Besides the money is because it helps her case to get her kid. I mean,
Yeah, 100%.
obviously the point. We talk Vanderpump. I do want to note this because I did have this a few times in my notes. A lot of season 10
Yeah.
footage, man. Footage from even like mid-season they got in here. So big ups for them to going and getting that footage and permission from Bravo and Peacock to have it. But there was a lot of Vanderpump stuff in this.
Well, okay. Do you think that they like this scandal came out? They had to piggyback on this.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those things were edited. Like the fact that even the title has Vanderpump in it. Like, I'm sorry. Like
the
it doesn't
opening
need...
scene is
Yeah.
Scandival. The opening
Yeah,
scene
I know.
of
They're
the Lala
playing.
documentary is Scandival.
Yeah, they're playing the hit. They're playing the hits right now to try to get people.
We're
like,
reviewing it. Guys,
yeah,
they're getting exactly what they wanted. And guess what? Just in case we haven't really let it on yet, you should watch this. If you haven't,
no, it's definitely
watched
interesting. It's 100%
don't
interesting.
watch Vanderpump, you should. But if you do, especially with the reunion and all, like watch it. Watch it this week. It's another thing to have more data in your brain for this 3-part reunion coming up.
Yeah, for sure, because they're going to bring it up. I mean, you would think in a normal season they'd bring it up. It might not make it. Might be on the cutting room floor with the stuff that we have to talk about
in
next 3
season
weeks.
11. They come in season 11 though.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, like if I wasn't watching Vanderpump, this would be like such a I have nothing to watch. Like I prioritize this today because of the Vanderpump stuff. Like I wouldn't prioritize this normally if it wasn't for the allegiances we have with that show. But it was interesting. I even like when they went back to some old, like the old seasons, because those moments are so perfect about. They didn't have a lot of James in there, unfortunately, like insulting him, but probably they tried to make it like not like a bash on
not
Randall.
Like her friends are also awful type thing. Nothing to make her look bad. Remember, she's a victim and a survivor. They pinged the thing as when he went to Miami, like they made this great escape they literally made a whole point that this dude was never around, that an absentee dad. So I'm pretty sure they could have left any day. The great escape, Lala Kent in the middle of the night in her van.
Do you like the blurry actor trying to be like him, like outside on the phone yelling? Like, gotta love those in documentaries where they like simulate the scene.
I like my favorite scene probably at the end of the day is because I love this in any documentary is when they had the Randall video at the end, which is like which again is only from like 2 weeks ago, Bri. That Randall coming out, the FBI documentary is very recent. It's not even months old, that video. So again, the ending of them all watching the same video reacting to this dude just being full of shit is so classic to me. And I just love a dramatic edit like that. And I love when it ends with Randall Emmett didn't answer, obviously. He doesn't want to talk to us.
I really wish that Pump show got like approved because that actually sounds really interesting.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, because unfortunately he didn't have Arnold set up. It did sound good. And apparently they had a whole season written out and storyboarded for him. And that was when he was like, okay, cool, I'll go to Arnold. And Arnold probably just knew he was a scumbag, or just also the timing probably wasn't good for him. And that's who he wanted. But why couldn't you just gotten like a bodybuilder who looks like Arnold and based it around a character who's basically Arnold? You don't even name him Arnold, right? I don't get that part of it, but
yeah, I guess that maybe that cost is a little more work.
Yeah, I guess they would say he wants to sell the geezer.
We don't know the ins and outs of Hollywood. Not yet.
Yeah. So overall, look, my recommendations, watch it. Great,
for sure.
Great documentary. Anything Vanderpump, I obviously will recommend. We're getting this video out. If you're a Bravo fan, we also review Below Deck. We're doing Sailing Yacht. And obviously, we'll be doing this week's episode of the reunion, Vanderpump Season 10, Part 1 of 3. Look out probably again at the end of the week as well. Brian and I will do some kind of review and recap of any of the news and things that have come out since usually the days of the shows seems when a lot of these leaks and things come out from the different paparazzi people and these Redditors and such. So I think we'll have something to talk about probably say Friday-ish. So look out for another Vanderpump video. Everything else that we're covering, 90 Day Fiance, Survivor. We just finished up the challenge. Look out for The Bachelorette and Claim the Fame Season 2 next month. But for myself and Brett, until the next Vanderpump video, thank you. Peace.